so much for still being here with us. My name is Ivana Salihuddin. I'm the CEO and founder of Samudra. We specialize in women's health, particularly in maternal wellness. I'd first like to extend a big thank you to Ransel Porter for allowing us this platform to speak of our cause. And thank you for everyone for still being here. Today, I think Ransel's already explained the topic. So we'll be talking about revolutionizing maternal wellness, particularly in postpartum care. You will hear about a panel discussing how integrating mental health into postpartum care, advancing hormonal understanding and support for women, and finally, ways to shape the future of maternal wellness. I would like to welcome both of our panelists, Dr. Clotilde Munguia and Ms. Sophia Lane. Sorry, I need my reading glasses for this. Dr. Munguia is a skilled global health leader with over 20 years plus of experience in Belgium, Sub-Saharan Africa, and the US. She focuses on reproductive health, social services, and universal health coverage, advocating for resilient healthcare systems in underserved areas. As an advisor to various global organizations, such as Sickle Charter, Redat Network, she bridges gaps between governments, NGOs, and civil society. Dr. Munguia is also a public advocate, promoting sustainable development through health, accessibility, equity, and strategic partnerships. Her last endeavor is sickle cell disease. She is a strong advocate for the design and implementation of integrative holistic health centers of excellence. These centers aim to provide patient-centered care. Whether in the global south and north, she champions the use of optimal standardized management of care, hydroxyurea, and gene therapy. I had to practice that a couple of times, hydroxyurea. Ms. Sophia Lane, also my co-founder, is an entrepreneur in the maternal nutraceuticals and femtech sector that supports women in postpartum care space, taking an innovative and science-backed approach. She's also a passionate advocate for postpartum wellness and has dedicated her life to helping women throughout their post-birth healing stages. Ladies, welcome. I'll sit next to you guys, all right? Hello, Dr. Munguia. Welcome. So mental health is such a vital aspect of postpartum care. Can you explain, so everyone can understand, what exactly that that women go through during postpartum?
Thank you. So I would like to ask everybody to move a little bit closer so we know exactly, it will be more intimate. And I would like to know how many of you have a partner who had delivered? You can raise your hands. And nobody, because that's the way I will tailor my discussion, and how many women in this room had experienced postpartum, whether it's negative or positive. Yeah, behind is different. So I would say that the room is empty. But this is a good thing because you can do the replay later. If there was no women in the world, there will be no life on earth. So we all need to be aware and understand what is postpartum. This is probably one of the periods less understood. Within that prenatal, childbirth, postpartum event. And this is the reason why it's important, those type of event that we have to, and in this context, to really emphasize why postpartum has to be in the center, why postpartum is very critical for the well-being of the mother, the child, the community, because through childbirth, there's a lot of fluctuation. The hormonal change shifts, estrogen, progesterone, prolactin, and more we are discovering has a tremendous impact. Physical impact, mental impact, and as well as mental health. It's very important to have our women well understanding that to go through change, it's okay, but to experience mental health such a way that that's dysfunction it's not. And this is very important because it affects the women, it affects the child, it affects the whole family. Mental health is a gamut of way of expressing. You have depression, you have anxiety, etc. So mental health has to be included, has to be part of the follow-up of the continuing. It's not only to see the women after delivery physically, but it also to address the mental health.
Wonderful, interesting point, because I'm going to now to Ms. Lane. So you gave birth in 2 different countries. Can you share your personal story and how those different locations actually resulted in different experiences in your recovery and how it has changed your view of maternal wellness?
So I had 2 very different experiences postpartum. I gave birth to my son in Malaysia, where we practice traditional confinement, which is a period of 44 days, where you have a traditional confinement lady come in and she stays with you for the 44 days, helping you with allowing you to recover and to also recover nutritionally, but also from the deficiency of postnatal depletion. And for those of you that don't know, postnatal depletion is the period after birth when a woman is so nutritionally depleted, especially when the baby sucks most of the nutrients out during pregnancy. So that's a time when a woman really needs to nourish her body back to optimal health. Postnatal depletion also is where your hormones are imbalanced, which a lot of women these days don't even know that they're going through that post-birth. So having that traditional confinement really allowed me to heal through the trauma of birth, which is quite a traumatic experience. If anyone's a mother in here will know. But then I had my daughter in Australia, which is a very modern way of doing things. But I was not afforded the postpartum care that was afforded to me in Malaysia, which meant that that really affected my mental health because I was in a very postnatal depleted stage, which means that I was suffering mentally, something that I didn't experience in my firstborn. And because I've gone through these 2 experiences, it really has kind of set the trajectory to where we are now, which is what I'm so passionate about in speaking about maternal wellness and advocating for postpartum care, because it's something that isn't really spoken about in the modern world or Western world, I like to say. It is practiced in Asia, but it's still a relatively new term in Australia, in the US. And that's something we'd like to bring to light today, but also on a mental health perspective. A lot of women don't even know their own bodies, so they don't even know that they're going through postpartum depression, postpartum depletion. They're not even aware of the terms even. So that's something that we really need to shed light on and to take a very proactive approach to postpartum care.
And you mentioned earlier about how a woman's brain actually changed after birth.
Right.
So literally they're a new person.
Right. So when a woman gives birth, her brain's actually rewired and is rewired for the survival of the baby. So essentially, a mother really changes the person that she was pre-baby to post-baby, not just physically, but mentally. So, and that's also a period where a woman's actually grieving her old self and doesn't understand what she's going through. And she's trying to understand, why is she feeling this way? Why is this happening to me? And she can't quite pinpoint exactly what it is. Usually it's because she's having a hormonal imbalance or she's severely depleted nutritionally. So that is something that we really need to take into consideration when it comes to postpartum care, and really take that proactive approach in helping mothers recover.
And also, be empathetic to the changes. I think partners always say that, oh, my wife, ever since she had the baby, she's different, she's changed. But in fact, scientifically, she has changed.
Yeah, exactly. She has changed. And for the men out there who have no idea what it is to be postpartum, if you are afforded, the joy of having a child, you will know that your partner is going to change. And that's just a fact. And she is wired to the survival of that baby. So it is a very vulnerable time for women. And I think that's what we like to talk about, is men are a big part of the solution of postpartum, because we really do need that support and the care and understanding of what we're going through. And if men could kind of educate themselves as to what their partner is going through at the time, it can really help change a woman's life and the nuclear family.
And what are the pillars you would say that you learned from your personal experience that changed your concept of what maternal wellness should consist?
So we've looked at a few things, but one of a doctor in Australia called Dr. Oscar Saralak, he's really pioneering the postnatal depletion. And what we've seen is that you really need to take into account the lifestyle of a woman, also the hormonal changes that she's going through, stress, and her sleeping patterns, because all of these together affect the way she recovers postpartum.
Thank you. Dr. Munguia, you have delivered babies and dealt with new mothers for years, countless mothers. In your opinion, what can you do today in terms of integrating solutions in the healthcare aspect, and what would you have done differently with your patient?
I would like first to put some numbers so that we can a little bit understand. Each year there's about 140 million delivery. I don't say babies, but about 140 million. And all of those 140 million, about 44 million births occur in Africa, 65 in Asia, about 9 to 10 in Europe, 10 million in the United States, in Northern America, including Mexico as well. Some perspective, if you look at the review, the maternal health market will be roughly around, they said, about 250 billion by the year 2028. That means there's so much. Those numbers, I didn't learn that, because when I started medical school about 30 years ago, it was different. There was no economic health. We really didn't even talk about postpartum. We had very good data in terms of prenatal and delivery, but we didn't have any data concerning the postpartum, and it's still current today. If you review the literature, you will see very few data. So how can you predict what's going to happen? How can you take early decision? How can you implement standard of care if we don't have data? So what I would do today, which I haven't done before, I would say I will integrate the care. Today we still have fragmented postpartum care. I will put probably in the same place, I will put the physical aspect, mental aspect, nutritional aspect, emotional aspect, fitness aspect of it, breastfeeding as well. And then now, because of the interest of time, I will add on to the tool that we have on hand now, is that we are probably moving away from an hospital center to more of a patient-centered approach, which is delivering the care away from the hospital, but within the comfort of the house. So I will go a little bit later. So what I will do also probably today that I didn't do before is to have a conversation, to understand about the culture, the person. Today we live in a world where people move from place to place. You have to be very sensitive the way you deliver the information. You have to understand the culture. You have to speak the language. If you don't speak the language, we have technology who can help you do that. In terms of, the hormonal change, I don't remember having, I practice in Europe, in Belgium precisely. I don't remember having followed the trends of the hormones. What I just remember, which I will probably never do today, it's a secret. I was a primary investigator for a multi-centric study, and we were at that time more pushing about not breastfeeding. So one company came, and I was one of the investigators. Our study was published in the British Medical Journal, and we were promoting stopping breastfeeding. So anyway, today I probably will not do it because I understand the value of breastfeeding, but I also understand how important it is to educate, to support our women who are breastfeeding, because living in an environment where you have so much stress, you have to go back to work, depending on the policy of the country, it's important to deliver the care holistically and not fragmented.
And one thing, we've had this conversation the other day. I mean, what you have in common is that you both have, not in the same way, but like she had a wonderful first birth experience, postpartum. The second one wasn't so great. You, on the other hand, were the opposite. So, but the one thing I realized that you both have in common is that you had a wonderful experience in recovery and in less developed nation than a developed one. Isn't it? Like,
yeah. I believe in my first daughter in Europe, Western way of doing things. I had to go back to work because I was doing private practice and couldn't stay that much at home. And then I didn't have a lot of support because everybody worked, so it was very scratchy. And it was not a very good experience. And I really can tell you that I experienced mental health, I experienced anxiety, not understanding. It was difficult, very, very difficult, and I didn't know where to ask help. But for my son, it was different. Like when I was working in, not really remote, I was in Abidjan, and over there, when I delivered my son here in the United States, traveled because of the work, I traveled about 10 weeks later, arrived in Ivory Coast, and I can tell you I was pampered. I was pampered as much as, so a little bit like the same ritual that the Japanese does. We had that confinement of 40 days, you know, the wrapping, the massage and everything. But no, I didn't stay confined for 40 days, but I had the support, and I was even providing care to my patient going to the hospital, coming back home. I was breastfeeding even longer. So it's not only about your strengths, but you have to ask for help, and the community helped me. That's true. It was the reverse. Yeah. I enjoyed my experience.
You mentioned earlier about data, collecting data, lack of.
Yeah,
data.
I mentioned about lack of data. If you look at the review of the literature, you will see very few data concerning the postpartum. What you will see, even in the data we see, is the frequency. How much, how long, how many postpartum visits our patient who have delivered goes back to the hospital or to the healthcare. That's what you see. But the quality of the care, the continuum of care which has been delivered, you don't see that. You really don't see about complication, postpartum complication, about mental health. What is the quality? What is the content? Yes, WHO has a framework where it stated that after you. By the way, when we talk about postpartum, we talk about the childbirth until 42 days later. It can go up to more than even a year. I would say that for the data, it's important not only about frequency, but about the content. What are we delivering? What are we, when the lady comes or stay home through telehealth, what is the quality we want to deliver? How can we collect enough data so we can predict complications such as, and I'm going to go very strong, is mortality, increased mortality, increased morbidity, hemorrhage that leads to death, complications such as fistula, which lead to urinary incontinence, infection, etc. This is just on the part of the women, but what about the child? So data, there's a need. There's really a need out there to bring very accurate evidence, well-designed data, so that we can be more proactive.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, data and technology. So as an entrepreneur, Ms. Lane, what are your thoughts on how technology can help advance maternal wellness, and what innovations are you most excited about?
I think tech is what I'm most excited about because there's so many advancements, especially with the AI at the moment, especially in the healthcare space. One of the things that we are actually working on at the moment is developing a digital platform which will allow us to look at real-life data coming through for postpartum women. And one of the ways we can do that is by partnering with hospitals and healthcare providers that allows for a personalized relationship between the patient and the doctor, looking at real-life results. We can do that by wearing tech wearables, where you can track your biodata, your hormonal fluctuations, sleep patterns, stress, and all this data that we collect, we can use for research, for clinical trials, which I think most of you know. There are a lot of clinical trials out there, but they're not performed on women, or they're not focused on women. So that's something that also needs to change. But being able to have a platform that allows mothers and women to take a more proactive approach to their health and to their recovery and healing, to really empower women to be able to do that and to make it a priority. Because right now, postpartum care is really an afterthought. It's not the main priority in the maternal wellness space as a whole in the world. So these are things that we're trying to change. For me, on a personal level, it's really important that we are looking after the mothers, that they're not suffering alone, because most mothers these days are. There's a lot of stigma around postpartum depression especially, but with studies have shown that postpartum depression, it can be prevented, and ways you can prevent that is by nourishing yourself out of postpartum depletion. So there are many stages to postpartum. We also know that postpartum, if you don't have the right recovery, you don't focus on it, it actually affects your perimenopause and menopausal stages. So it is a lifelong road to recovery. It doesn't just stop at postpartum that most people think. And another thing is that postpartum can actually last up to 10 years, which a lot of people don't know. And a lot of mothers don't know that either. So with the advancements in technology, I think we're going to be able to see some really exciting changes in helping mothers in the healthcare industry to kind of work together in creating a new space for postpartum, and to be able to integrate that into hospitals and take a very proactive approach to postpartum care, from family planning to pregnancy, instead of being in the reactive phase of just trying to manage symptoms as they happen. So I am very excited for the tech space and what's to come.
Absolutely. There's so many things that we can learn from AI and how they can help us move forward. Dr. Munguia, so you are, a working mother, and you've seen countless of women. You understand the struggle. What do you think that we can implement today to ensure that the future will be better for women?
I want to come. Yes, thank you for this question. I want to come back to the number again. It's about 50% of the births occur in Asia and in Africa. Technology is key, and I will probably not go towards what everybody said today, AI. For me, AI is part of the digital health, and I do believe that leverages digital health is very important for us. Yes, of course, AI play a key role, but when you look at the trend and the geographical location where those births occur, the literacy is not very high. So if you use AI, your people who use those tools need to understand, but what you need to know that today, even in those countries, the penetration of cell phone is more than 70%. So that's what I talk about. Technology is using telemedicine, information, awareness, education of the patient, the family, the healthcare through telemedication. Stay in the comfort of your house to avoid more complication being at the hospital. Probably it's a game changer. Yes, AI is a game changer in the world to bring up some model when they are accurate, you see. But for now, digital health through telemedicine particularly, and also wearable devices that we can put in the hands of the women. I was very struck with the experience we heard this morning about the ultrasound done by the home. So we have such an experience where we provide ultrasound to doctors going into the remote places in Africa, portable ultrasound. So it's going to be very great if we can provide that tool to the women who have delivered, because when you have a normal delivery, you stay for less than 24 hours and you send back home. So having those type of devices will help the lady who has delivered to go through that ultrasound to make sure that there's no more bleeding, because bleeding is the #1 factor of death, for instance. Technology is key. Will revolutionize, but also something else that, because I work in Africa and in Europe, so I'm mixing a little bit. If I come back to, in Africa, we may have more support of the community, but we may not have we don't know, maybe to empower the patient, maybe. But in Europe, one thing is that in the workforce, it's not only men who goes back who are going to work. You have also women go back to work. And the policy, you see, the workforce flexibility, public policy, the policy of to allow women to recover, not to come back that early, it's also very important. So we can cover quite a lot. I can sit and talk, but we are limited by time, and if anyone wants to hear about more of my experience in Africa, my advocacy, what I do over there, and how you can be part of this journey, you are welcome. So I'm going to get back to you.
And you mentioned earlier as well, like for postpartum care, it's more so to do with an ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's an ecosystem rather than a one-size-fits-all, one solution. It's actually, it involves a lot of integration from different aspects of someone's life.
Yeah, as I said, the way we do it today, even in sub-Saharan Africa or even in Europe, it's fragmented. It's fragmented. The continuum has to be holistic. We have to look at the cost, we have to look at the efficacy of the content and the quality of the care that we are providing. Yes.
So, Ms. Lane, when we started our journey down this maternal wellness path, the question that we normally get asked is the same thing, mostly not from mothers, but from different groups of people. Why should we care? Isn't it? Like, why should we care? And so you've been an advocate for women, for maternal wellness, and as many people normally would ask in the past, it doesn't concern us. Why should we care? Why should we care?
Good question. Why should we care? A mother is the backbone of the family. I think we can all agree the mother is what runs the household, gets everything going. She is the home. So when a mother is not doing well, it affects the children in the house. It affects your partner, your husband. So it actually, like Ransel says, has a ripple effect. And if a mother's not well, it's kind of like an infectious disease. It spreads throughout everywhere in all parts of her life. So we really need to, like I said before, take a very proactive approach to that. What I will say is the recovery of a mother really is so important, and I can't stress that enough. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much it actually affects all of your lives in one way or another. Everyone has a mother or had a mother, or, everyone is affected in some way. And that also bleeds into the workplace, the way a mother carries herself at work, how it affects her mental load. These are all things that we need to take into consideration, and we really do need to address those situations. We need to create more awareness around it and more education around postpartum in general. So I would say that it matters because it does affect all of you, whether you like it or not, and whether you want to take note of it, but it does affect everyone on a whole, and it affects the society. So we really need to be making postpartum a priority.
Not to mention that, if they're not well, and they won't be productive at work when they go back to work, even if they go back to work. And so that affects their productivity, and then that effectively affects the economy, isn't it?
Exactly. So it does bleed into everything. So if we can take a very preventive approach to it, we can stop the bleeding.
Dr. Mugia, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, well, I care because I'm a mother, because I'm a young entrepreneur, because I advise government. So I would say economic productivity. If I'm in front of a president, I say you need to have your human capital back to work. So you need to take care of your women if you want to have economic growth. I also particularly care because I love my family. I love my patient and the quality of life. I mean, it's not only providing the physical care, it's the quality of life. You want to live full potential. You want to enjoy your lifetime. You live longer. You have a child to care, to bring up. You want to have a child who will look like you, even better than you. So So why not provide you the best care possible? There's other things as well, but I would probably say that the quality of care for some people, for the government in terms of public policy, in terms of your human capital to preserve, and then for investor, I would say eventually this is a potential, not even potential, this is a market.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I think we're almost out of time, but before we wrap up, I would like to ask. We are. Oh no, it's okay. Actually, that was the last question anyway, Ransom. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.